Hello, everyone. This is Michaela Smith from One World Rowing. I'll be speaking with the lightweight men's quad for this year's national team. 3/4 of them. One was unable to join us. So thank you so much for repping the USA at World Champs next month. And thank you for taking the time today to share some of your experiences as high performance athletes. As a supporter of high performance training groups, and a fan of collaboration among HPGs, One World Rowing has just two questions for you today. The first one, you guys can just go in a circle, decide who starts, doesn't matter. Can each of you tell us which HPG is your current home base and how you have landed there? And why?
Casey,
Sure,
go.
Cabal.
Casey, go.
Okay, I can go. Casey Howshall, current HPG is Riverside. I joined Riverside in 2018 because I started a PhD at Boston College. So I moved up to Boston and then looking for local clubs, and Riverside is the only one with an HPG, so it was almost a no-brainer to go there.
Okay.
I go next because it is related. Ian Richardson, also Riverside. I grew up in Massachusetts, and after I graduated from UConn, I got a job in Boston, and that's just kind of my home turf, and so moved here and back here after college, and wanted to keep rowing, so joined Riverside because I had some connections there, and eventually found the HPG program there, and that's kind of how I got into the high performance rowing world.
Yeah, I'm Jamie Copus, and I'm with Penn AC. Basically, I got into Penn AC because this is my first year rowing with the States after a few years across the pond. And I was kind of figuring everything out at the start of the season. Anyway, I was rowing at Union for Head of the Charles, just rowing out of Union. And John Lindbergh there put me in contact with Bill Manning, who's head coach there. And that's kind of how it all went off from there. Yeah, just went down, kind of started training with the squad, absolutely loved it. And yeah, so they're my HPG.
The second question is how this composite boat came to be. How and when did the four of you decide to join forces and enter trials together?
I'll start with that. Riverside hosted a selection for a decent group of athletes to form a quad. And we were in the process of selecting that quad, and once we finished some of the seat racing, but we were still doing some selection. Jamie reached out and we had some connections with him, so we kind of continued that process and came together from there.
Who are the most important athletic wellness professionals who keep you fit and healthy?
I think the auto response is obviously Lisa Lowe at Champion. Yeah, Champion Physical
I
Therapy.
didn't do this on purpose. This just happened to work.
Yeah, Lisa's the GOAT. That's number one. No close second wellness professional that actually sees all three of us for all of our like PT, recovery, soft tissue, general wellness. So definitely she's a Swiss Army knife. So she keeps us at capacity and ability to keep training at a high level.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I've been having a little bit thing on my shoulder this week, and she's been massively helpful. She's an absolutely awesome physio. Yeah. No, she's super knowledgeable. Yeah, I couldn't say good enough words about it.
Yeah, I just know over the years I've gone there for like a couple different things, and it's like the at-home remedies that I've tried from like other PTs never really did it as well. And then you go there and it's just like amazing how fast and like the turnaround is for getting back to like full speed.
Just the breadth of knowledge as well they have there, and just the ability to like come at it from different angles is pretty wicked actually. And just being in the room and just say, even in my experience the last few weeks, like yeah, it's cool. They know what they're doing there.
What does the future hold for elite lightweight rowing, US and internationally, in your opinion?
That's a interesting one. I mean, we all know what happened after 2020. Well, in 2020, like everyone thought the lightweight Rome was going, and so kind of everyone piled into the lightweight double in 2019, and I was fun racing that one. That was the most brutal regatta I think I've ever been part of. But I'd say this is probably going for good now after Paris. Like I think US rowing in its singularity is in a slightly different position to the rest of the world because of the collegiate lightweight system. I think that that's really strong, and that will stick around no matter what happens to international lightweight rowing. And I think that's kind of a lovely thing because it is so competitive and it's a lovely part of the sport. Yeah, internationally, I don't know. It's going to be a tricky one. I was talking like it's almost like slightly dystopian because you kind of feel like your sport is dying around you a little bit, or at least you're part of the sport. But also because you only see it getting tougher. You only see the competition like getting better and getting harder. Like the lightweight double and lightweight single, like in particular, those two events are just crazy right now, and in an awesome way. But at the same time, it's kind of like that's what taking seats away from the other boat classes has done to it. It's just saturated the talent so much, which is going to be a shame to see it go. But by the same token, I think a lot of those good lightweights are going to end up going heavy, as kind of really fast midweights. And it's going to be interesting to see how the sport changes next Olympiad when there isn't lightweight rowing around, at least in an Olympic capacity, because I reckon it's going to be pretty fun seeing what some actually not starving themselves lightweights can do, just keeping their boat movement ability and having some more gas. So yeah, I think it's going to be the landscape of, I think, crew height and dynamic for heavyweight crews might be quite different next Olympiad. But even if I think they'll steer into, sorry, I'm taking it up a bit.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it'll stick around internationally for a little bit, but it won't be the same standard because, it costs money. And if there's no Olympic kind of goal at the end of it, unless there's like a major reset, because Lady Rome was thriving in the 80s, 90s before it was an Olympic sport. And then when there was the two events, it was still kind of great. And then as, seats started to get lost at the Olympics, then it became more of a financial strain because it almost kind of like professionalized that aspect of the sport. And then it was like, oh, now we need more money for something that there isn't that end goal to make the finances worth it. And that's kind of what's happening a little bit, I think. But it might come back, but it might need to kind of become its own separate thing from world rowing, or from have its own like world championships to actually be able to reset. If it's still kind of attached to what's going on right now, it seems that there's too much like going on in terms of with the other heavyweight stuff for the lightweights to be a priority. At least that's my read on it. But
okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to add, or he covered it pretty well?
I think I had this conversation with some other like coaches and athletes before where I feel like in the US in particular for most lightweight class events at Worlds, we're not funded. So we have to do the fundraising, hence, why we're here. So for us, them dropping it as an Olympic sport, and then if it were to be a world championship sport and us having to fundraise still, it's no different. Yeah. I feel like it's very different for a lot of the European nations where they have the funding, and now you lose the funding, and now asking those people to get funding via fundraising. So I feel like it would have been almost like, I don't want to say better, but like mentally you could compensate with it more as if you never had funding and then you have to fundraise versus like we gave you money and then we took it away and now you have to it's a major deterrent for athletes that once saw that they could make money and be financially stable with this and now not have it. So when I was talking to some coaches, they said it might turn the European scene more into like the American scene where like they'll have to start doing local boat clubs and collabs and try to fundraise. So I think kind of like what Jamie might be saying, you might see somewhat of if countries allow these boats to go to Worlds, you might see a dip in the talent because they're trying to reorient their systems from the centralized training camps that they had to more of the American, like you need to figure it out by yourself system.
Because that's the thing I had, the GB had, lightweight 8 and everything back in the day when they were like running out of Nottingham, like they were thriving and it was like great. And they found a way to make it work and everything. And that's when, as I say, like they kind of overly well, not overly, but, like Olympicized, and professionalized that aspect of lightweight rowing. It just kind of skyrocketed everything. But then that meant that everything else that was non-Olympic boat class, it almost made that unsustainable. And I think exactly what Casey's saying, like if there might be a bit of a, a global readjustment in that, hopefully.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for it to stick around, but yeah. Burn Dog. He's coming in.
I think lastly with the US rowing, so I did row in high school, which I don't think Ian did, and then Jamie clearly didn't go to high school.
No, I rowed in high school, but that's all right.
Burn Dog.
At least for like the high school lightweight rowing, I know like there's been a lot of adjustments with the weight classes with that, like the weight amount that they were doing for that, and then like kind of what they were doing with it. So I think the US as a whole has been kind of playing with not getting rid of lightweight rowing, but viewing it differently. But collegiately, as Jamie said, I think that's pretty like solid. They have like crews for that. They're like teams are dedicated to that. Like we've seen some teams get it cut and then they immediately like the alumni come back and get it back up and running. And they are completely independent of whether or not this is an Olympic sport. They don't care. They like their college lightweight, and like, it's like the teams for like their football team. Like Alabama's riding for Alabama regardless if like the NFL existed.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the first question for Bernard to answer. Can you tell us which HPG is your home base and why you have landed there?
So my HPG home base is San Diego Rowing Club.
Okay.
And I came from there basically because I graduated from San Diego State University and immediately just wanted to start rowing again. And about 100 meters across the isthmus is the San Diego Rowing Club. So I rowed out of Mission Bay Aquatic Center, and I literally just changed myself from driving one less block to practice every morning. And a San Diego Rowing Club has excellent facilities. It's got a great weight room, great boats and equipment. And it's got a 20K loop on Mission Bay, which is pretty much perfect for like a morning row. And so it kind of just became a good training environment in terms of like all the logistical things that you need. And then it was just learning how to bring all those things together and perfecting the practices. So after starting training in 2016, I basically spent like the last almost, I guess it's 7 years now, just like learning how to perfect practice, making things as effective as possible. And that's where I call home base. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this is a question for any of you all. How long did it take you guys to sync up and to feel like you're prepared? Or are you still trying to prepare for next month?
I'll hit it real quick, and then I feel like Jamie wants to say something. Yeah, in terms of like the actual boat itself, I feel like it clicked like right away. There was like a baseline of just like really solid speed from like the very first second we did our first row together. And then I think we've been layering some like really quality rhythm and control and focus on top of that, through trials. And I think even trials wasn't even close to what we think our best is when we know our best is. And, I think for like every day of practice, we've found another thing, like another little like jump. And I think that's been pretty exciting because there hasn't been any stagnant days. And that doesn't mean that we don't have like challenges to work through that exists, but I think we have met them all and, hopefully continue to meet them through Worlds.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like, so certainly from just off the bat, you could it's kind of cool with a lot of crews over the time. You can kind of tell whether they've got that natural compatibility or not, like pretty much off the bat. And we did. And it was kind of like, so as soon as we started paddling together, it was like 152s there, like fast. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's feeling pretty sharp. And as Ian was saying, like, what's kind of cool is even though, we've now been together for a fair bit of time, like it's still feeling great. And it's layering on, each kind of block that we go through, it's getting even better. And it's getting to that point now where, we're bedding some good habits in, irrespective of, there's little things here and there that is kind of nice that we still have to work on, and there's still gives us that mental stimulus. So we're not just completely just zoning out and letting bad habits form. So it just keeps us kind of honest and keeps us on it. But yeah, so the recent stuff we've been doing is starting to get pretty fun, and yeah, it's starting to feel like a pretty classy unit. So hopefully we can just keep doing that and keep going fast, and good things will happen at Worlds.
Kind of like what Ian was saying, like our momentum has been pretty tremendous. Like I've never been in a boat that has been progressing so consistently, not just on a weekly basis, but more than a daily basis even. So like we'll have a row in the morning where we're working on something, we'll knock it out. And then in the afternoon, we'll work on another session on another thing, we'll knock it out. And we can continue to do that. And all these little steps. And some days it's not just been a little step, we've made big steps too. Has been really impressive. And I don't know what's been doing that. I think I really don't know. And I would even say, like, taking it back all the way to when we started the selection process, when we still had, I think, like 10 or 11 guys like trying out for these boats. Even during that time, every day we were taking steps and boats were getting faster and faster, and the intensity and the momentum of the whole squad as a whole was a virus in that, everyone wanted to get better, and it just became as like, could you get better fast enough to make the boat? And that was pretty exceptional in this team.
Yeah, I think certainly our attitude as a 4 as well has been pretty awesome. Like, we have some like chaotic energy sometimes in the crew, which is great. Like, Burn Dog knows that, but like, it's just kind of, when we're on the water, we're pedal to the metal, and it's kind of great that we can just get on with it. And everyone's like, say, as soon as we hit the water, we're like, right, let's go. And say we're just clinical, and really the attitude's awesome. And I think that's one of our kind of, coming together calling card, if you know what I mean, is that we really just, our absolute on itness when we're on the water is great. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to just say, right, want to do this? Right, let's do this. Boom, 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 boom. And we just kind of keep on going. So let's just keep on going.
Okay. Well, I hope that you guys do really well at Worlds. Thank you so much for all of your time. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for all your guys' support too.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.